5 quick and super effective tips to monetize your podcast. Tip number 1, record a high production value podcast. If you want to make money on your podcast, attract lucrative partnerships, and capitalize on your brand, you need to be recording a professional standard podcast. Your listeners and potential sponsors are more likely to commit to and support your podcast if it lives up to expectation. There is nothing worse than subpar audio or boring editing cramping your style. Use Riverside to record a professional studio standard podcast from anywhere in the world. You won't be disappointed. Tip number 2, build a community. Before you even begin to think about monetizing your podcast, you need to first of all think of your audience and your community. They are a podcaster's most valuable asset, but it is not just a numbers game. Obviously, it is important to build out a big audience base, but what is even more important is cultivating a sense of community and personal relationship. If you can nurture a personal relationship that supports you and your podcast, the likelihood is your audience will respond positively to the adverts, affiliate links, and sponsorships that you include in your show. Plus, if you have a good captivating audience, you'll be able to charge more to advertise with you. Tip number 3, think about what kind of monetization will work for you and your audience. What worked for one podcast may not work at all for another. You've got to know your audience and your podcast to know how to make money effectively. Depending on how you pitch yourself, what kind of listeners you attract, and what purpose your podcast is serving, different types of monetization will be more appropriate. For example, if you're a comedy podcast, chances are designing an online course will be a waste of your time, whereas a sponsorship deal will be better. If you're a teacher or coach of some sort, the reverse might be true. Tip number 4, be open to diversifying your brand. In an ideal world, you'll be able to generate direct income from your podcast through sponsorships and ads. That will be the end of it. However, unfortunately, this is not always possible, especially if you have a smaller audience base. If you are determined to make money on podcasting, it is essential to open your mind to other potential revenue streams that may involve diversifying your brand and your content offerings. This could be anything from online courses, coaching, or simply recording additional episodes exclusive to your subscribers. Think outside the box. Tip number 5, strike a balance and don't be afraid to say no. If you are on a tight budget and needs to make ends meet, any chance to make money from your podcast will be a lifesaver. But at the end of the day, you know your podcast and your audience best. Try as far as possible to strike a balance between your financial ambitions and your podcast integrity. If your gut is telling you a certain deal or partnership just isn't right for your podcast, don't be afraid to say no. Chances are a better deal is just around the corner. If you want to learn how to make a lot of money from podcasting, I highly recommend you watch this video next. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.